Alright, it's about damn time I finally reviewed this. What's going on? It's your boy Josh, the Screen Gazer, and I'm finally talking about the hit show that recently came out, Heated Rivalry.
Gay!
Now, I've heard a lot of great things about this. Well, the only things I really heard was that it's based off like a couple novels, but a specific novel talking about two hockey players and their love for each other. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool premise. Let's dive in and see what's going on. So, it's created by Jacob Tierney, and I haven't heard much about him. Apparently, he's like a Canadian director. He's made a lot of Canadian themed shows, not a lot of movies. But going into this, I like the concept. Granted, I didn't read the book, but a lot of people who read the book said they really liked the adaptation. So going into it, I was like, all right, I'm expecting big things. And one thing I can say for sure is the actors that they have, the chemistry is there. The chemistry is right there. And then I see interviews afterwards, like I saw interviews of them like talking with each other. And apparently they were friends before. But if I don't know if that's true, but if it was, it makes sense because the chemistry between the two main characters, Shane Hollander, played by Hudson Williams, and Ilya Rozanov, played by Connor Story, they do a fantastic job displaying their their lust for each other, their deep. I wouldn't say traumatic. Maybe for Ilya, it's a bit traumatic because his dad is kind of very controlling and emotionally and you know verbally abusive towards Ilya. But Connor's parents are actually pretty okay, except the mom kind of only cares about his the money and helping her son with that, and nothing really else, and not really knowing. I feel like they're sons. This video is only going to talk about episodes 1 through 3. So just to start off with episode 1, so episode 1, it starts in 2008. There's a lot of time jumps that are going to be in this show, but episode 1, it's from 2008 to 2010. So Ilya, it shows like it shows them first meeting, and it's before the Major League Hockey draft, and Ilya comes off already more stoic, the more masculine labeled from like by society, I'd say, and like Shane's character played by Hudson seems more careful and more observant. I guess like a less feminine role because even in like their sex scenes, Shane is a bottom. He's never doing the fucking. It's always Ilya's character. But if we compare, I definitely can see like Ilya being labeled more as masculine or the more dom compared to Shane's character. But you can tell just from their first matchup before the draft that competitive nature kind of creates that crush for each other, and then it obviously turns into the to sexual desires the more they meet up and the more they're able to um, meet outside of hockey. But yeah, after 1 year, so a time jump from 2008 to 2009, they finally give in actually to their sexual desires. And for Ilya, it's not his first time, but for Shane, it is. And I love how every time they like have sex, except until like recently in episode 2, but Ilya is very careful. He's always saying, "Are you okay?" and stuff like that, which I love. I love that their bond is very, nurturing almost. I mean, granted, it's sex and very passionate. It can be aggressive at times, but Ilya is always, "Are you okay?" Stuff like that, which I love to see, because Ilya's dad didn't really make sure that he's okay. He was always pushing him to do what the dad wanted, which I love to see. Ilya kind of isn't taking what he learned from his dad or what his dad was doing to him, and he's making sure. But there are at times where he's like, "I don't care, whatever," and kind of uses Shane for his sexual desires. While at the end, of episode 1, they start to show that they physically love each other, but emotionally they're still struggling. And you can see that emotional struggle as they go into episode 2, where it's a time jump where it goes into fall of 2013, right before the Olympics, right? And then at the end of episode 2, it's after the Olympics. So it's really between that frame of fall 2013 and winter 2014. But no matter how frustrated they seem to be with each other, they just can't help themselves, especially Shane. Like, he is so angry with Ilya at the end of episode 1 because Ilya tries to show, how much he loves them by kissing them, but out in public. Granted, no one's out there, but Shane wants to keep it a secret. He can't let that, you know. And the same with Ilya too, because he comes from Russia, and there's, especially in like the early 2010s, there was that. I mean, even to this day now, Russia still is very stigmatized towards gay people. But they don't care that, that they're frustrated with each other. They still want to seek that, connection, even though Ilya really is an asshole at times in this show. But a great example during this is like at the end of episode 1, he blows him off saying whatever, and then he goes in for a kiss, and Shane likes it, but he's like, I can't, right? You're an asshole. You're doing this in public. And it establishes in episode 2, Ilya lives off that danger. It gets kind of a turn on for him. But Shane is kind of the opposite. At the end, as they just keep, having these sexual desires, Shane starts to develop feelings. And obviously that's a bad thing for someone who doesn't want to, come out. I mean, I think Ilya also doesn't want to come out because he's also scared of how society will be, and also Russia, which he still calls his home, how it'll affect, their lives, especially in hockey, where it's a very on like physical head to head. I'd label it as masculine in society type of sport, because you're always hitting, you have to be tough, stuff like that. But that's kind of how episode 2 ends, and you can see at least the first like 6 years of their story. It's sad because they obviously love each other. They're obviously good at hockey, and that connection between hockey and the competitiveness, especially for Ilya, it's sad because he uses that competitiveness to help bring him to the next level, while Shane is just good in nature, but he's letting his emotions now dwindle his hockey ability. And you can see that especially in episode 3, where they now focus on a different group or a different person in the hockey hemisphere with Scott Hunter, who's the captain for the New York team. And they mentioned him before, where they showed him in the Olympics for USA in episode 2, and he's a good hockey player, but lately he's been slacking, and people are saying like, why is he in this slump? But it shows like he also secretly has that, doesn't, want to come out, but he's gay, but he can't because he feels the same as Shane. He's scared to come out. He's scared to face this criticism similar to Ilya, because they established in episode 2 that one of Scott's teammates kind of, I guess, doesn't has a weird notion towards gay people, where he makes this comment like, "Oh, your friend is finger skating; he must be gay," like assuming, and like, "Oh, he's that brave." It's not very a positive notion towards gay people. At least that's how I got it. But Scott just randomly shows up at a smoothie joint, and the cashier is gay, and there's that the sexual innuendos similar to how Ilya and Shane, how they first met before the draft and kind of developed into that sexual relationship, and now Scott has the same thing going with Kip. That's the catcher's name, or his full name is Christopher. His nickname is Kip. He starts getting smoothies, and he starts going to the shop more, and he's doing better in hockey. So he's using this as a good luck charm until eventually you know, he gives in, is like, hey, I want you to stay here, I need you. And he's kind of using Kip. I mean, he also loves Kip, but he's using him to help, with hockey. After 2 months of a relationship, it's kind of similar to that Ilya Shane aspect where, Kip has already come out, and he wants to love, Scott, the hockey player, but Scott just can't come out, similar to Shane and Ilya, and that struggle is real because he wants to love Kip so much, and he wants to go out and support him, but he can't because he's physically, scared, and he fears the societal, backlash and of his family, his teammates, all of that. So it kind of ends with them breaking up. Scott, removing his lucky good luck charms, socks that Kip gave him, kind of reverting back to how he was before Kip. And then that's how episode 3 ends. But I love the story that they're creating, and obviously the theme that they have for the first 3 episodes, where you have this love for someone, but it's the time period that is the struggle. Like they can't, because of how they're letting other people's view affect them. But then Kip enters the equation, and he has people that surrounds him, where he's not, you know, a big name. He's a cashier, wants to go to art school. But he has people around him that love him for who he is. But because Scott and Shane and Ilya are at that level, it's hard for them to come out because of the people they surround them with. But they truly just want to be gay and out and love whoever, if it's a hockey player or whoever. But it's a struggle for sure. But that's at least the first 3 episodes, and I like the story that they're building so far. The only um things I don't like, I'd say, is the dialogue is a bit weird and nonsensical at times. It's a bit like, I wouldn't say off-putting, but it definitely doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe for the time period, I'd say, because like the dad of Shane is a bit like lost. He doesn't know what's going on, and it's like the mom is running the show and the dad is just there to tag along, I guess. Everyone is just built incredibly like insane. Like they don't establish, like the cashier Kip. He's like built head to toe abs. Like everything is crazy, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it's based off a Lust novel. I expect that, but like, why is everyone built to the max? Like ridiculous. And like, there's a lot of sex scenes. Now the sex scenes don't bother me, but it's like 5 or 6 sex scenes in each episode. Like at times I'm like, like you don't have to show love just by doing sex. Like I get it's intimate and passion, but like, golly.
God damn!
But anyway, that's my review so far. I'm not gonna give it a rating until I watch the last 6 episodes, but so far I've been enjoying myself watching this show for sure. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. And I'm actually gonna do a movie next, and then the last 3 episodes will be at the end of the week. So I'll catch y'all then.